We're back, second episode now. Just going through what's been going on. It's been a hectic start in January for the brand. We're nearly 3 weeks in. It's been absolutely crazy. We've been really 110% skin in the game, getting clients. You know, we got clients that are 6 weeks out from shows. We've got shoots organized for April with 10 people. We've got shoots organized for June. So it's literally been non-stop, and obviously just keeping on top of everything. And, you know, the mentoring, the consultancy's gone absolutely crazy as it's the new year and people have high aspirations and goals. Just giving you a bit of an insight of where we are today. I want to take you through a few things coaching and setting a client up for a diet phase. So aspiring coaches, you leave a bit of value and you understand my mindset and my process going forward here. So I want to delve into that and have a bit of a chat about that, let you know what's been going on with me, my life, because this is an insight of who I am now versus who I was. And then we've got a session with the boys. You know, this isn't a series that's heavily about training, but we've got a good catch up with the boys. You know, we've had a few clients come back, return, some new clients, and there's been a trend of what I've been seeing about people. I've been setting up diets and people have been shocked, oh, I'm eating so much, or, you know, when a few weeks in, when are we going to pull food down? And obviously it was a video I put out on Instagram today about a lot of coaches in the industry, because they've just come in the industry and they want a result, they're putting people into a caloric deficit too quickly. And what that's leading to is people running into fatigue. People end up, because they're so hungry, they end up binging off plan and it becomes yo-yo dieting. So I want to talk you through a few things and actually show you how we would potentially set up a client setup and baseline so it makes a bit of sense. Because there's a lot of people now that coaching's a luxury item if you can afford coaching, but a lot of people can't. And I always feel like it's my role to give out some free advice as well. So the first bit of free advice that I'd give someone that is looking to go into a calorie deficit phase is give yourself more time than what you actually need. So I always say this. So if I knew I had a shoot in 12 weeks, I would actually plan a phase that's probably 16 to 18. Because what that's going to allow me to do is spend 4 to 6 weeks of building up my caloric intake from my maintenance baseline. And what that allows is, I always say, set yourself up for a good runway. So say, for example, someone came to me, Jace, you know, I would love to be shredded in 12 weeks. I would typically say, hey, have you got time? You know, is it a holiday, or, you know, you just want to do a shoot? Because if it's a shoot, there's obviously a bit of flex. If it's a show, there's always shows, there's a bit of flex. And then what I'd say is, hey, let's actually do sort of 16 or 18 weeks, because that allows us to put food in a good place, get insulin sensitivity in a good place, get metabolism in a good place. And then when we get that 6 weeks of a higher food, it allows us to start that contest prep on a higher amount of food. Typically, if you start on a higher amount, you end on a higher amount, because if, say, for example, if that client started at 3,000 calories and they had to pull calories by 30%, they're still on a good amount. If that client just came out of a maintenance phase and they haven't pushed up food, and if their maintenance is 2,400 calories and they have to put 30%, you're now having a different conversation. So a lot of coaches, you need to put your foot on the ground and say, do you know what, I'm going to give myself more time. If you're self-dieting, don't rush the process if there's not a direct end goal. Give yourself more time. And I feel like what I'm seeing in the industry is calorie deficit merchants, where they're just pulling food through the floor, trying to get a result in 8 to 10 weeks to promote their service. And what's actually happening is the client's burnt out, so they're binging or they're not sticking to it. The client's dropping off because they're not enjoying it. And you know what, you're not actually getting a result, and it's becoming a revolving door. And you'll see the biggest brands in the industry, they've got a large client roster. So you got to say they're clearly not killing their clients, or their clients wouldn't enjoy it and they wouldn't stay on. My second tip is, if you are not, start to move more. Movement is medicine. The best way to navigate a deficit, in my opinion, if someone's not moving, is keeping food as high as possible and increasing output. And that could be 3 times 20-minute treadmill per week. They start dropping, they stop dropping. You can now take that treadmill sessions to 5 sessions of 20 minutes per week, because we've increased that expenditure over the week. They're dropping, they stop dropping. We now look at, instead of pulling food, we look at what can we do to create that deficit. Well, they're doing treadmill where they're burning 50 calories in 10 minutes. Why don't we now do the stairs where we're burning 100 calories in 10 minutes? So all we've done is kept that cardio the same, increase the intensity, which leads to a higher caloric burn, but we've kept food the same. And that's the reason why I love using cardio as a tool, because it allows us, we can manipulate the intensity to get a greater rate of fat loss. And obviously, once you delve in and understand the cardio hierarchy and how to manipulate a phase, you're going to get your clients in shape better. Do you know what I mean? And again, if you're not throwing all your tools in at once. The third tip is obviously your food sources, your food groups there. If you're in a diet phase, obviously we all like the tortilla wraps, the bagels. I'm not really a cereal head, but some people like cereal, and that's great at starting your diet phase. But as you navigate into a lower caloric intake, start to look at the more volumized foods, because one bagel is going to give you a portion of about 155, 160 grams of cooked basmati rice. So when you're dieting, naturally to feel fuller for longer, it's a mental and visual of, oh, I'm eating more. So start to shift out the foods that are less volumized for more volumized foods. Like myself, I would rather have, say, for example, 160 grams of couscous because I know how that looks on a plate in comparison to one bagel, and I know which one's finished quicker. So it's also, when you're in a diet phase, how to use more volumized food groups to make the process it seem like you're eating more, but essentially you're not. If you're eating a lot, then we're looking at dense food sources. That's why some people use cereal post-workout, because get 100 grams from cereal, it's very easy. They get 100 grams of whole rice, 100 grams of carbs, from cooked basmati rice. You're eating a lot of rice, over 300 grams. So it's looking at that there, because what I saw is when I was helping someone this week, poor lad was on 1,700 calories and he's eating like bagels, which, that alone is going to take up a lot of the caloric intake. So starting to use more volumized food sources, and then just having variety. Like if you've got rice on your plan, you can swap that for potatoes, you can swap that for couscous. Like there's a few food sources you can use. So those are sort of the 3 tips I wanted to dig into. Let's rock and roll and have a meal. We need to do. We need to make some ASMR videos. ASMR cooking. Pre-workout meal, it's quite of a big one. It's about 750 calories. That's a lot for me. So 1 steak, I cook in butter. I always have. I like nice food. Got 65 grams of avo that will go with the steak. So I'll have it in like part 1, part 2, steak and avo. And then I've got 300 grams of yogurt, 200 grams of berries, 20 grams of dark chocolate. And that's typically what I'm having pre-workout today. And it's a meal 1. I don't eat much. I eat 4 meals a day. So yeah, I tend to have them a bit bigger. So that's where we're kicking off. Frozen fruit is best, holds a bit of flavour, not good for my very sensitive teeth. Cooking steak every morning is not always fun. So when we get in the new kitchen, I can't wait to do some cooking in that kitchen because it's dope. Steak's not always fun cooking in the morning, but get it done. I'm probably going to express this steak because I'm starving. Steak every day, increasing my daily cholesterol. Obviously, on a personal aspect, it's been a busy week. We've been in the whole process for about 7 months of buying a house, and we're in the old office, but hopefully in the next 2 months, we're in the new office. So just been going through that process, which has not been stressful because the stressful months are out of the way. And again, trying to link up with clients as, a busy year starts to come ahead. We've obviously officially locked in 2 shoots, which is April the 26th, June the 15th. We've locked in a team day on February the 7th or 8th. So already it's come out in January and we've got 3 big community events in. And then obviously I've got shows where I'm in Miami and New York in May. So it's like constant, it's non-stop. Like I feel like I've been 24/7 since the start of Jan, but it's great and I love it. And I've got a good friendship circle that are sort of on the same path with me. So that's where we've been. So we're just going to break down this diet slightly. It's a Saturday. I don't do much direct work. I always do like additional work. I've got a discount code there, Jay, at 50% off. Hatton. I've made it. I told my mum my goal is just to get discount codes everywhere. So today, Saturday session with the boys, some of my good friends. We've got delts today. Normally it's push, but today we've got direct delts. So getting stuck into it, the first exercise, what we normally do is a chest supported side lateral raise. The reason I like chest supported, it takes the momentum out of it as you get heavier and just focus on hitting the side deltoid. So just slowly, as it's a warm up set, we go lighter, and then each set we just progress the load. This isn't a movement you can do super heavy because you're just trying to stay locked into it. So we're gonna save the heavy work for when we get on the Smith machine. When it comes to building the top line and building that shelf in terms of your delts and chest, this is my favorite machine for building up your incline chest, your upper chest, and obviously my favorite for delts because you're very locked into the movement. It's a movement you can add load to without exposing yourself to injury if done correctly. When we used to, back in the day, get to 60, 65 kg dumbbells, there's a lot of stress on the joints because you have to stabilize weight, whereas here the machine stabilizes for you. So I'm a huge fan of the Smith machine. So now we're getting into the Smith as our main shoulder movement. 2 big compounds as always. Come on! Fucking hell. That's the reality, man. It happens sometimes. The reality of chasing a toxic. Let's go. Down and up. 1. Yes. 2. Silverback who? Come on. Come. You gotta make them suffer a bit.
Turn this on. 1 up.
Don't touch.
Easy. Yeah. 3. Come on. 4. Yeah. 5. Come on. 6, 7. Beat me.
Let's go.
6 up. Come on. 7, 8. You got it. 7. Yeah. Right. 1 more.
Yeah. Woo. Ah. Now it's moving. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6, 7, 8. 6. Come on.
7, 8. You got it. Right. Come on.
1 more. Up. Good. Two, 3, pause. No, pause. 1, up. Pause, up. Pause. Exercise 3. So we warmed up side delts, got into a stabilized press, Smith, second stabilized press, Atlantis, heavy again here. So we're actually gonna do this not in the neutral grip, but in the front delt grip, as we've already done a neutral press. I actually think you can load heavier in this grip, innit? This is neutral. But who calls it overhand? You got a bench press, right? How do you hold it? No, 1 sec. You got a bench press. How do you hold a bench press? What's the neutral grip on a bench press? No, what's the neutral grip on a bench press? There's obviously a race divide here, and that's fine. Because me and Cam think otherwise. Yeah, so I would say, if you was to say, oh, I'm going to do a neutral bench press, you're going to go like this. So, Sasha, what's the neutral grip? Supinated grip. Supinated grip. So, after a little bit of brain fog, we're going to do the supinated grip. Do you know what the pronated grip is? Pronated, supinated. And that's why I called it neutral, because I was like, pronated, supinated, neutral. So am I right? Yeah, you can. Just had to take a minute. In my head, I was like, nah, it's got to be. And that's how I know I'm right. Because there's, how do you do a neutral back pull up? How do you do a supinated back pull up? How do you do a pronated back pull up? Fucking stick to your day job. All right, Team 2. side delt, press, press, side delt, front delt, rear delt. So cable lateral raise, nice and supported. So getting stuck into that now. Super set. 10 dumbbells, 10 EZ. Last movement for delts, rear delts. The boys are going to do arms at the end, but I've got arms tomorrow. So that's basically how I would program shoulders. May it be whatever side delt you want. Side delt first, compound, side delt, front delt, rear delt. Very simple.
What it feel like? What it look like? What it be like? They ain't gotta like it, they just gotta live with it. Got my money working, you know what I did with it. Take it to the field, treat it like a coin toss. Girl, I got it covered, I'm a Louis loincloth. But he ain't really with the gang, that's a fact. Had baby doing something strange for the snap. Ride around the county with her face in my lap. Keep it 101, this ain't the place for the cap. I ain't got the minutes for the who said what. Piling up the digits on a goose egg hunt. About to take a quarter to the ball cap later. Texting Goofy double, I need all that paper. I been making plays, call me head coach Davey. Eggplant emoji to me, bread loaf baby.
So this is the last day we're ever filming on a Saturday. My phones are dropped as well because the gym's manic. The day's gone upside down, but we moved. Car's getting valeted, forgot about that, and he was late. So we're in Emily's car, 444, and let's get back to the office where I want to discuss some topics. Back from training, just going to take you through I said we're going to give out some value, how to set up a diet for the imaginary Jace at 74 kilos if I was coming from a sedentary standpoint. And this is actually another client. This is a good friend of mine, Polly, who's joined, and she had insane shape, as you'll see. So we're out her diet this morning, getting her back here, which is cool. You know, what the big pleasure I have at the minute is I'm helping a lot of coaches get in great shape. Like, we've got good athletes on the team that are coaches as bodybuilders. Like, we got good bodybuilders, but we also get good coaches, and I get a lot of pride of that. Like, we've got Liv Browson, we've got Ben Bray, we've got Pollyanna. Like, these physiques are insane, and it's nice to help coaches that are really great coaches get in shape as well. And obviously we've got all our athletes. So what we got here is a dummy copy of someone that is pretty much, let's say, 75 kilos here. So the way I'm explaining this, it's a bit in layman's terms because I'm trying to hit everyone here and not go too advanced. So say, for example, you was someone that didn't know how to work out the maintenance of someone 75 kilos. Obviously, I've been doing this 10 years. I know how. You'd simply go maintenance calories for a 74 kilo male, or let's say a 75 kilo male. And this is a very dummy-proof way. So you'll sort of see here, like it will say how many calories should I be eating if you're active and stuff like that. And obviously, if someone's sedentary, you can see if someone's just shy of 75 kilos, it says sedentary, they should be eating 2,300 calories. So obviously, if you was self-dieting, what you'd look at is determine, are you sedentary or are you not? According to here, we should be eating, if you're 75 kilos, 2,300 calories. So what I would do in that phase, if that was me and I was to start a diet phase, obviously it's not how I do it, I'm trying to explain and give value, is I would then say, if that is telling me I need to eat 2,300 calories, and obviously in this video we spoke about pushing your food up to give you a good runway, would probably look at setting myself, I'm visualizing this is myself, obviously I'm not 74 kilos or 75 kilos, a diet with a bit more food. So as you can see here, we've done this dummy diet at 2,600 calories. So what that's done is put us 200 calories, 200 to 300 calories above what we should be eating as a maintenance. And that is starting to push us up in that caloric space to then allow us to pull down the calories to make sure we've got a good runway. So the rule of thumb, they say, is obviously, if you're in kilos, how to work out kilos to pound is 1 kilo times 2.2, because 2.2 pounds is the equivalent of 1 kilo. If I was 75 kilos and I times that by 2.2, we've now got 164 pounds. And then even if we went on the realm of 1.3, let's say we'll go with 1.4 times pounds of protein per pound of body weight, we know that we need to get 231 grams of protein. But in this case, we're going to go quite extreme. We're going to go 1.5 grams of protein times each pound of body weight. So 1.5 times 165, you're going to see 247. So I'd be looking at giving myself around 230 grams of protein, 240 grams of protein there. And that's the easiest way for me to understand that I'm going to get enough protein in that's going to yield recovery and help me build some muscle. And then again, we're going to build out the diet, understanding that we need a good adequate level of dietary fats to help regulate hormones and help keep us in a good healthy spot. And then obviously we would then make up the rest of the calories in carbohydrates, because again, carbohydrates are needed. One, they're going to be an energy source. Two, they're going to help replenish glycogen. For this dummy Jace, who was once 74 kilos in a life that he never knew about, we've got 2,600 calories here, and we've actually gone with 145 pounds of protein per pound of body weight, because I'm a very small individual in this next life and I want to add on a lot of muscle. And very simplistic here. We've given him 5 meals. Diet's not boring. It's got oats, it's got whey, it's got peanut butter, it's got berries, it's got rice, chicken. So for example, the first meal we've gone with here is oats, whey, peanut butter, and mixed berries. But that's not enough, because this version of Jace wants a bit of variation. So what is a variation that we can use if I don't just want porridge, if I want a bit of variance? So we can have 75 grams of oats, or we can have 75 grams of cream of rice. There's a variation there, isn't there? Well, if I don't want oats and I don't want porridge, what else can we have? We can probably use Weetabix there. That's going to be 3.5 bricks of Weetabix. That's going to give you the same equivalent to that bowl of oats. So we've now got 3 options to navigate between. Obviously, whey protein. If we don't want whey protein, we can use egg whites. It's going to be, some people enjoy it. Some people like egg whited oats. I don't. So I would use a whey protein. And then we've got peanut butter. But what's an interchangeable for peanut butter? 20 grams of peanut butter, or we can use some dark chocolate, depending on the percentage will determine the gram you need. So it's very easy once you know the food swaps that you can have variety within your diet. So that's typically how I would set up a meal one for myself, because that's foods I like. I like to use whole foods, so I like to use staples such as rice within the diet. So then the next 2 meals would be rice-based meals. Again, the variation which I typically have is either chicken or turkey, and then my rice would be my main staple. But if I wanted an alternative, if I didn't want rice, if I had 175, 180 grams of rice, I'd probably swap that for a bagel, or again, I'd use potato as it's more volumized, or again, couscous. So now when I'm writing a diet, I've now got 4 carbohydrate sources that I can navigate and rotate through. So you can see here, you can write a diet without it being too fucking boring. Do you know what I mean? And then pre-workout meal, again, I like to have another rice meal, but again, then I like to have that as a bigger portion meal. So I'd normally have a rice meal and I'd buffer that with either a square bar, rice cakes, whatever I feel I want, I'd put that within the diet, if that makes sense. And then obviously you got your post-workout meal, which is going to be your biggest meal of the day. And people say, why is it my biggest meal? Because that's the meal that's going to replenish glycogen. That's the meal that's going to set us up for that recovery process. That's the meal that's really going to kickstart the building blocks, isn't it? So that's typically the biggest meal of the day. And that's us with 4 meals. And then the last meal, I would have some carbs in it as well, but I tend to reduce my carbs in the latter end of the day. And I tend to go with more of a fat-based protein source. It's going to slow down digestion. It's going to keep me fuller for longer. So that's typically how I would set that up for that future Jace. Obviously for the YouTube video, I'm trying not to stretch out this, but it's very simple. Like, it's so dummy proof. Like, if I didn't have a coach and I couldn't afford a coach and I wanted to work it out myself, I'd find out what my baseline is for maintenance for my caloric intake. I'd push myself 200 to 300 calories over the maintenance, weigh myself weekly. If weight's still dropping, add an extra 150 calories till I'm at a point where I'm like, sweet, I feel like I'm on a good portion of food. Now let's start a diet phase. When I start that diet phase, I'm not chopping food. I'm getting the deficit via expenditure, putting treadmill in, hit a block, swap that treadmill for Stairmaster, etc., etc., etc. So just wanted to cover that just very briefly to give a bit of an insight. And again, it just helps if you roadmap your phases. As you can see here, I can just drag and drop and pretty much just roadmap my phase. So like I can put that in maintenance phase, see how week 1 goes, and then again I could put that if I wanted to in a gaining phase for 3 or 4 weeks, as you can see here. And then again, when I feel like I've hit a ceiling on a good amount of food, I can just pull myself into a fat loss phase there for 10, 12, 13 weeks, however long that is, and then again make notes along the way, see where my scale weight is each week, because again, as you get more active, you're going to require more food. So just a few tips on what I would do if I was self-dieting. If you don't have a coach, how to sort of simply work out where you should start, no man's land. What I would do in terms of pushing up food and bringing it down, what you could have for interchangeable food sources. But it's also not that easy, because the coaching part of it is, I'm very honest, like a coach is great for many fucking reasons, such as, you know, what happens if you hit a building block, because that's where people struggle. That's where the experience, that's what you're paying for, the experience in the eye. What happens if there's another issue, that's what the coach is for. So that is the day, not the day, but the afternoon, morning done. Off to collect the car, because I haven't got a car, so collect that, then come back. Got 1 consultant call and then chill out. And then the next episode, we've got 2 big lads joining me.